I get asked all the time, what is a vigilante? What does it mean to be a vigilante? And so to explain that, I'm just going to kind of explain where the vigilantes came from. When I started the group, I honestly thought there was going to be like 10 or 20 people who really like the scrap that would want to be a part of the behind the scenes, helping pick out the guests and make the questions. And I never dreamed that the vigilantes would grow into what it has grown into. Over 700 like-minded souls. If you're a vigilante, you are never alone. We have members from across the country. We have members from across the globe. And it's just amazing what it's become. If you're in there, then you get to be in the Discord. And the Discord is where we do all of our discussions and people go live and they talk and they ask questions. And we have a channel for bitching and moaning, for presenting classes. It's amazing the fellowship that is involved in being a vigilante. And it's not just that, there's so many other benefits. You get access to the vigilante only swag shop. You get the 15% discount on all merch from Firehouse Vigilance. You get the after parties. You get the vigilante get-togethers when we're all at the same place and we get together and we raise a glass and do a toast and have the vigilante creed. You get the vigilante coin when you hit your 1-year anniversary with your number. The fireaways, the forums, the archives, all of the quarterly projects that are coming that you get to be part of and get to be behind the scenes on. It's grown into something bigger than I ever imagined. And I want people to know about it. I want people to be a part of it. If you're not a vigilante, why not? I don't know how big it could be. I don't know. I mean, the vigilantes are where the work is at. They're the ones who are getting stuff done. And it's phenomenal to be a part of it. I wanted to get on here and explain where it started, how it came to be, and ask you, if you're not a vigilante, why not? Go to patreon.com/thevigilantes. That's where you sign up. It is $5 a month. I mean, you can't even get a cup of coffee for that anymore. $5 a month and you get to be a part of this unbelievable group. Go to patreon.com, sign up, become a vigilante, and I will see you on the Discord.
In the demanding world of firefighting, training against real-world scenarios is crucial. Yet traditional training facilities often fall short in providing realistic, versatile, and cost-effective training solutions. Affordable Drill Towers presents a groundbreaking solution. By positioning an affordable drill tower alongside your existing Connex boxes burn buildings, a realm of realistic, multi-level training scenarios is unlocked. This integration has been adopted successfully by various fire departments, enhancing their training capabilities exponentially. Delve into the heart of live fire training scenarios within the Connex boxes, now amplified by the ADT's multi-floor access, providing an unparalleled training ground.
We started looking at Connex boxes about probably 10 years ago. To me, you can't beat them, especially for the price. The Affordable Drill Tower was the same way. We've got 6 floors, we've got standpipes on every floor, we've got more anchor points than you can count, we've got removable floors, removable stairs. We can go into the 2nd and 3rd floor off the drill tower, so whether you want us to use it as an external stairwell or a high-rise, we can do all that and mimic just about any type of situation that the members of the fire department might encounter.
Experience cost-effectiveness, enhanced realistic training, versatile operations, easy multi-floor access, and innovative solutions to age-old training challenges. Take your fire department's training to the next level with Affordable Drill Towers. Reach out to Affordable Drill Towers to elevate your training capabilities today.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 311. My guest tonight is Mike James. He is currently a battalion chief for the Niceville Fire Department in Florida. He has served in the fire service for over 17 years, and before that spent 17 years as a professional athlete playing baseball. Drafted in 1987 by the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it was not a straight line from the draft to the bigs, and that journey is something I'm sure we're going to talk about this evening. He is currently an instructor at the Northwest Florida State College Fire Academy, an adjunct instructor at the Orlando Fire Conference on the Hoarders and RIT track, and also an instructor at the Fire Department Training Network, FDTN, in Indianapolis. To say that I'm excited is an understatement. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Welcome to the Scrap for episode number 311. My brother, Mike James.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know there's a lot that I missed, but is there anything I missed in the bio or intro that you would like to add or elaborate on? Anything I missed?
No, not really. I mean, we got the baseball track, 17 years professional firefighter, current still battalion chief. So no, that was pretty good summary.
Excellent. Audience, get your questions primed and ready because this is going to be a fun discussion as we discuss all sorts of aspects of his life and his journey. It's going to be good. Now let's talk about those beautiful sponsors and then we will get to the scrap. When it comes to building your perfect attack package, you can't just slap any nozzle on any hose and hope for the best. That's a recipe for failure. At Snap Tight Hose, they are not just trying to sell you hose. They are there to make sure you get the right hose paired with the right nozzle for your crew and conditions. Their team of experienced reps knows their stuff inside and out, and they're ready to help. No ego, no judgment, because knowledge is power. And at Snap Tight Hose, they bring both. Visit snaptighthose.com to connect with a rep and start building your ideal hose and nozzle package today. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder, and ladder high-point rescues. They also make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot and pump realistic flows and pressures. And of course, their mainstay, the Affordable Drill Tower. The Affordable Drill Tower comes in several configurations and standard with the standpipe system. You can choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs, integrate it into your existing Connex boxes for multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing that you can't do on an Affordable Drill Tower is live fire training. Call Steve, 844-55-TOWER, or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. Firefighter safety and accountability starts with being able to quickly find and identify individual firefighters operating on the fire ground. Identifier safety combines the best in photoluminescent materials for durable firefighter identification solutions that can glow for up to 20 hours. No switches, no batteries, which means being able to rapidly identify firefighters by name, unit, or assignment, even under hot fire conditions. All specifically designed and tested for the rigors of the job. Be seen, on scene, identifiersafety.com. And then last but not least, one of my personal favorite things, Flame Decon, their soap. They partnered with the Weekly Scrap and they have a Weekly Scrap scent in their summer bundle. And a portion of every bar of soap that is sold goes to Next Rung, which is a phenomenal organization. So the Weekly Scrap scent, I had nothing to do with the scent. I mean, nothing to do. Amanda and Tara made sure that it smelled good. I'll put it that way. So get the summer bundle, smell amazing, and scrub your boys clean and get all the nasty off you with Flame Decon. Okay, there we go. Sponsors are done, and now we get to talk to Mike James. So, my brother.
How you doing, man?
You have had a interesting life to date, I would say. A journey that a lot of people would probably be envious of. I don't know, but you got to live it. Talk to me about, well, we go whatever direction we want, but mindset and mental preparation and how that plays, what you learned in the pros versus bringing it to the fire service.
Okay. I'll start out with when I got drafted in 1987, I didn't sign. The Dodgers drafted me for my rights. I signed in 1988. Just to kind of pick it up a little bit with the mindset and the perseverance and overcoming obstacles. I was one of about 250 kids that were drafted that year and showed up at Vero Beach, is where the Dodgers used to have their camp. And they have a mini camp in June after the June draft. So there's about 250 kids in that room. And we sat in a room. I was in a room with players from all over the United States, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Canada. And the coaches proceeded to tell us that less than 1% of the kids that got drafted this year, not just our room, but the 30 other rooms that had 250 kids in it, were not going to make it.
So that was just the Dodgers draft was 250 kids?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
So every year, each team drafts roughly around 200, 250 guys.
Okay.
Less than 1% of the kids across the whole board makes it.
Right.
And they proceed to tell us that. I remember looking around, and I was in the room with all Americans from like Miami, Cal State Fullerton, University of Michigan, Ohio State. And I came out of a community college in Andalusia, Alabama. Very unknown in a league that was not very well known. So the immediate, like, I'm not going to make it kind of came over me, other than them hammering it into us and telling us. But with that being said, something was going to differentiate us. And the second part of that meeting is when we split with the pitchers and catchers, and the coaches proceeded to tell us, say, hey, listen, all you right-hand pitchers are 6 foot, 6'3", 180, 100, 200, 225 pounds. You guys all throw 90 plus miles an hour. You all got drafted, but something's going to separate you from the guy next to you. It's not going to be your draft ability. Your ability got you in this room. Something's going to separate you from that group. And fortunately for me, the Dodgers at that time in the late 80s were at the forefront of sports psychology. And I really tapped into that. They forced it on us a little bit, but it really like resonated with me.
Sure.
And it leveled the playing field for me quite a bit, because I knew how competitive I was. I knew how driven I was. I was overcome with the situation. You know, I mean, I grew up in Florida in the Panhandle. We call it LA. It's Lower Alabama. Not a big city, not big city life, not very cultured at all. So the Los Angeles Dodgers was like already overwhelming to me.
Sure.
And being in these rooms with these guys from other countries, and you know.
And how old were you at this point, Mike?
At that time, I was 21.
Okay.
That was my second year of college.
Okay.
21 years old. So
you're a kid.
A kid, 100%. Yeah. And some of these guys were 4 year school guys. You know, they were 23, which at that time they were a lot older than me. But I remember thinking back when that was said, and the mental part of it kind of, and I wasn't like mentally tough, I would say, in like the personal development side of it, the mindset. But like I said, it kind of leveled the playing field for me, because I'd look at the guy next to me, and I never was one of those guys where I thought I was better than everybody ever. And I always thought the guys next to me were better. So I always had like this competitive competition drive in my head to be as good as the guy next to me. And that carried over through, I spent 6 years in the minor leagues trying to get to the big leagues. And I did pretty well. I had some really good years coming through and just never really got the call up and never made it. And that whole success and failure and overcoming that mindset was pretty tough, because there was a lot of times, and it was a 6-year period, you know, from 20 to 27. That's when I got called up, was when I was 27. That was a lot of years of like bus rides and pretty hard dose of like, you know, this is a lot harder than I actually thought it was going to be.
Right.
For sure. So I got traded in 1994, 93. I got traded from Los Angeles to the California Angels. Just to speed that story up, I got a couple of weeks into that season, month or so into that season, I went from a starter to a reliever. I was a starting pitcher with the Dodgers. They turned me into a reliever. One of the pitching coaches there really worked hand on hand with me, and helped me out with a slider. I basically threw a fastball my whole career. Helped me out with a slider, learned the slider, had a few games, and got called up to the big leagues. And I believe that was in '94, and I sent you a video on that where
right.
The baseball union was going on strike that year. I got called up 2 weeks before that strike, and it wasn't known if they were going to come to an agreement or yet on the CBA. Well, they didn't, and I went back to AAA, and that whole like, holy cow, I took 6 years to make it.
6 years, got the call up.
Years traded, get there. I sit in the locker room, go to the field, dress out, but they didn't activate me, and then they sent me back.
Ooh.
So then it was the longest strike in baseball history. So then it went into the spring training the following year, 95, which making a team as a rookie is already really difficult. And then it was a shortened spring training. So like my chances to make the team with an open spot were even slimmer. But myself and Troy Percival, who's the closer when I was a setup guy, we both made that team that year. So.
Oh, wow.
But it was a lot of that mental fortitude of really, it's like just the next step, the next foot down, and like not diving into why I didn't succeed, or what did I do wrong, or what could have I done different, more than And I remember coming up through the ranks, and a lot of guys on other teams that had been called up and down were asking me like, "Hey man, why are the Dodgers not calling you up?" Like, I don't know. Well, I had a catcher named Don Wakamatsu. He ended up being the manager, I think, for Toronto Blue Jays and the Chicago White Sox. He was my catcher in AAA. And he would told me one day, he's like, "Hey Mike," he's like, "Man, when you figure it out," he said, "Man, you're gonna be unreal." And I was like, what do I got to figure out?
Right. Let me know. Let me know.
But there, and he was like, he said, "I don't really," he said, "when you figure it out, you're really gonna take off." And I had no clue.
Right.
I remember sitting there like trying to figure out like what it was that and I mean, I worked on the scouting and the mechanics of my arm and my body and all the things. I did all those. I checked all those boxes, but there was something missing. And what it came to. It was a mental plateau that I had to come to with success and failure, because I was so competitive. I did not enjoy losing, and it's a pitch by pitch in professional sports. It's literally play by play. You succeed and fail, and you have to overcome within that. Just say just as a hitter, like I pitch to a hitter, I got 6 pitches I can throw him. If I'm up in the count, I have more strikes than balls. If he's up in the count, he has more balls than strikes, and it's this constant like, okay, I'm down. I need to get back up. How do I mentally get my body and mind into that space?
So is it strictly just being able to have the short memory to let go, or is it more than that? Or
it's not just because a lot of guys can. Yeah, I mean, I come across a lot of guys in the fire service that like, yeah, I don't think about stuff when I go home, or
sure,
it's just gone. Like it's not so much the short memory, but it's the development of making your mind and body function together, I guess, in the face of adversity where you're set up to fail. And if you look at it, like I was a setup guy. So I came in a lot of games where the starting pitcher or the pitcher before me was not doing well. So I didn't really come into the game like the beginning of the inning, music's playing and I'm doing my warm-ups. I'm coming into it's like a very high intensive environment. There's guys in scoring position, the game's on the line. The guy behind me, Troy Purcell, the closer's depending on me to set that up for him to get saves and do that sort of stuff. And I thrived in those environments. Jumping forward, when I first became a fireman, I had that mentality brought over. And I remember my chief and a couple other people telling me, like, "Hey man, you gotta kind of take it easy a little bit. It's a little different. It's a little different than what you used to do." But that mentality was very cutthroat and very hardline. This is the way you do it. You got to be second nature proficient at it. And I think that's why now, like a lot of stuff that I do, me and Jim McCormick have some really in-depth conversations, and he's a very good friend of mine. And it's a lot to do with like the basic knowledge of skills in your body and performance under environmental pressure, mental pressure, and you can perform in a calm manner. And a lot of people I know there's all kinds of stuff out there. I've seen it. A lot of people regurgitate it, lead from the front. We can do this, do that. But actual doing it, there's people that talk about it and people that do it. There's a whole thing with that aspect of it.
So when you talk about your intensity, basically, when you came into the fire service, is that a good word for it?
Sure.
Do you think the fire service needs more of that, or did you? Not to put you on the spot, but do you think it needs more of that, or do you think it needs less of that, or what did you have to learn? What was the adjustment?
I'll say this. I think that we go to a semester of a fire academy and we come out and the state, whatever state we're in, strokes us a certificate and the bottom of it says, whatever your name is, professional firefighter. I think the label of being a professional, from what it took for me to be a professional in that arena, and the athletes that obviously we all know and watch, that level of professionalism isn't just because, oh, you made it, you got paid a bunch of money and you're a professional. It's just like that. You went to the fire academy, you learned some basic skills, and now you come out on the street and you're a professional firefighter.
Right.
I think being a professional is knowing your job, knowing every single thing about it. Like a baseball is by law, it has to be 5 to 5 1/4 ounces heavy. It has to be 9 to 9 1/4 inches in circumference. It has 108 stitches. You know what I mean? Like The distance is 6 feet 6 inches from the mound to the rubber. I know all those little things, and I know like some of the stuff like Tom Brady and things like that. Like there's guys like Roger Clemens, Nolan Ryan that know that profession that even take it to another level. But for us, like in firefighting, I do think it's how do I say this politely? Like I think it's loosely used, and there's people that can get. I came in very intense. Like I wanted to be a fireman since I was a kid.
Okay.
My life took me a different direction. When I got done firefighting, I was actually working in a cabinet company at home here, and I got out of it because it just wasn't for me. I was sitting at my mom and dad's table, and they were like, "Hey, what are you going to do?" Like, I don't know. Like, I want to do something, that I get a little more out of than doing punch work on a cabinet. And my mom was like, "Well, ever since you were a kid, you want to be a firefighter." So my dad knew. He's like, "Well, I know the battalion chief at the city of Destin. He used to be an umpire when you were little league. I'll give him a call." Long story short, I stopped playing baseball in 2005. I went to the fire academy in 2006. 2007 was a professional firefighter in 2008. So within a year turn from one profession to the other. So there wasn't a long gap where I kind of got like numb to the fact of the
Right.
competition arena. And plus that's always been in me. Sometimes I've had to knock the corners off of it in certain aspects of my life.
Sure.
Say
And you
the-
went from one professional arena where they use the term professional baseball player to a
Yes,
term professional firefighter, and
100%.
the usage of that term was wildly different.
Wildly different, because what it took for us to be professional, we were me and Jim just talked about this. He does a company officer class up at FDTN in June, and we're just talking about this, and he actually said this to the group. We had 49 students this time of officers and aspiring officers, and he's like, talking about being a professional is like, professional athletes are based on performance. He's like, God, I wish we got paid by performance, because it would really, you didn't have any choice. If you didn't perform in baseball or in sport, you were graded every single day, and your performance mattered on where you're going to be, how long you're going to be there, and sustaining that with 250 guys every year coming up trying to take your job from you. I think there's a comfortableness with the fact that we're professional firefighters. I know it's different, and I know it can't be like that. And I do think like things like this, like the people here on the scrap and the people that we come in contact, we all kind of migrate. The true professionals, I believe, migrate to each other.
Find each other.
Oh yeah, and that
Yeah.
it's kind of like the birds of a feather type of thing. It's
Yes.
not then go searching these guys out. It just kind of happens, and it's like, hey, I like the way that guy talks. Hey, I like what he said, or what the message is.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it.
For sure.
Preparing for the job, slowing the game down. Talk about slowing the game down, because like a big thing for me and what you just said was your ability to mentally overcome that adversity. And again, I have no experience in this arena of the level you competed at.
Sure.
So to me, slowing the game down, I love that term, but I'd like to hear your definition of how that works and
Okay.
what affects that.
Okay. When I was a kid, Sandy Lassa and Jim McCormick are going to bust my balls, and Mike Lombardo are going to bust my balls for this. But it was Wayne. I remember everybody talking about Wayne Gretzky. I tailored the name. I use Bobby Orr now when I go up to Indy because of those guys.
Okay.
But the same concept. It doesn't. Tom Brady, they all did it. But I remember as a kid, like being in Florida, and hockey was like, I don't think I saw a hockey puck until I was out of college. I never could see the puck because they didn't have that blue dot that folded around back then. And I remember it being so fast. And I remember the commentators talking about how the good ones, like the great one, like Gretzky and Bobby Orr and all these guys could slow the game down. And it wasn't like what we saw. And I never could understand that as a kid. And I was like, how can you physically take time and slow it down, especially something that looks so chaotic and fast to me? As I got into professional sports, the mental aspect of preparation, I found that, and I'm sure you can attest to this, especially the level of the fire service where you're at, and a lot of guys on here can, it's done through repetition and preparation. And the more, like I can go out, I just told a kid the other day, we had a fire I sent you a picture. Actually, we had
Yeah.
our newest guy has been on a job for about a year and a month. He was tasked to force the door to the side of this house, and I was in command, and I heard a lot of clacking going on. Anyway, on our hot wash afterwards, I asked him, I said, "Hey, what was going on with the door?" He's like, "Man, to be quite honest," he said, "My lieutenant told me to force the door. I turned the tool towards and started hitting. I completely forgot what I was doing and how to do it." And I was like, "Man, that's exactly the stuff I'm talking about right there." We got a door prop in our engine bay like most firehouses do,
Sure.
and we break wood all day long.
Right.
And he's very good at it. And I was like, that is where the critical thinking process and the game speeds up on you, and you have not done the mental preps. The physical preps you've done, and you probably looked in the mirror and thought, "Man, I'm pretty good at that."
Right.
You know, I call them mirror deals. You know, you get in the mirror and you like kind of bow up, you're like, "Man, I'm pretty awesome." But then there's somewhere along the line on the street or somewhere in a house where you get leveled, and the actual level of your ability meets. And sometimes where it meets isn't the best place where it should meet. Um, and I'll use I like the slowing it down, like in the mental prep. I'll say this to this day, like after every single practice, batting practice we did every day. Early as back as I can remember as high school, I don't know in junior high if we did, but after every practice, the coach would be like, "Hey, all the pitchers get on the mound. First baseman's at first, catchers behind the plate. We're going to work on comebackers." So they hit the ball at us or to the first baseman. If they hit it to the right side of the field, the pitcher is supposed to break and go cover the bag because the first baseman comes off. And the catcher yells, "Get over." So if I went and stood on a field to this day and a ball was hit to the right side of the field, there is no question in my mind that my body would break to that direction because it's just second nature. It has just been mentally prepped and physically repeated over and over to perfection.
It's just not even a choice, not even a conscious. It's unconscious competence. Like,
And I use this reference when I do trainings. I call it the remote control or your shoelaces. You know, my daughter, when she was a kid, teacher, and if anybody has kids, we try to teach her how to tie her shoelaces. You know, it's a process. Hey, go make a rabbit ear, go around. You know, and after now, I don't think about how to tie my shoelaces. I go down, I tie them up. It's not even a thought.
yeah, you don't even look. Yeah, it's just
Nope. Get a new TV, and you like look at the remote for the first day. You're like, okay, where's the jump channel? Where's mute? Where's volume? Where's Netflix? Second night, you're laid back in there with a drink, and you just beep, 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 beep. And you remember it like that because you prepped it and remembered it and memorized it to the point where it's just second nature.
No, I love it.
I think that aspect ties hand in hand with the professional being a professional. Those tools should be, you know, doing a baton twirl with a Halligan bar at the door when it's zero visibility conditions. Like, you should know those things because those are your bats, your gloves, the playing field, the mound, the first base.
Right on.
Of a professional field.
I got questions coming from the audience. So here, are you ready for your first one?
Sure. Let's have
This one's coming from Jeremy Humphrey. Hump wants to know, Chief, I hear basic drills called fake training. From your baseball career, how did fundamental drills help, and do they parallel professional firefighting? Did you do fake drills as a pro?
I don't think any drill we ever did was fake by any means. We, to this day, even at the fire station, I got a baseball in my locker. We walked around as pitchers. We walked around with a baseball, and probably if you want to say a fake drill is just putting your hand in the right place on a baseball for certain pitches. We constantly did that. I did it every day, all day. I think the basic drills get overlooked because we want to be so much more that it's almost like a surgeon forgets how to do CPR. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And you get so elevated and so educated to the point that you forget what's going on down here when things collapse. Like when I'll refer it to baseball. If I come into a game and I'm not doing well and I got bases loaded and I have to get a pitch over, I got to get a guy out. It has to boil down to, I have to do the simple play catch with the catcher. I can't think about nothing else. My job is to throw this ball to that guy in a location, and everything in me has to be in that basic, throw the ball to that guy.
No, yeah, that actually plays out very, very well. Thank you for the question, Hump. There's more questions coming from the audience. Sam will get them in, so get them in here. Um, Hump also followed up and said, Chief, from your baseball career, what's one mindset or practice you'd instill in the fire service to drive big change, and how would it transform firefighting? So, what's
Say that one.
one? Say again.
Say that one more time. What would
What is
drive?
one? What's one mindset or practice that you, if like magic wand, basically, you could instill this in the fire service today? What would it? What would you do to drive big change?
Whew, man.
Never easy questions from the audience.
No, that's good. That's really good. I like a good cerebral question. I got to think about. One thing that would like help change the American Fire Service, man. It's not an easy job. It shouldn't be made easy. It's just not for everybody. I think if there's anything, I think the standard of doing tough shit should be accomplished by doing tough shit.
Nice.
I don't think the backyard, back parking lot, sit at the kitchen table, and all those things are needed. We do those things on hot days, rainy days, whatever they are. But the 2 to 5 year firefighter that's never been in a fire and then goes in his first fire 5 years down, or the first time he experiences that environment, if I could change something, I would make those more accessible. And they are becoming more. But there's so many standards, and I know the safety stuff, I get it, but this isn't a safe job. And I've run into a little bit of this and I referenced this, special force guys, Marine guys. If, hey, we're on budget freezes and this and that, we don't want to send guys out to get fire training because, I mean, we have less fires than we used to have.
Sure.
We need to go find these environments and train in these environments. And our managements and things like that, because of budget reasons and stuff, obviously we're not accessible. So it's like going to our special forces and being like, hey, listen, guys, you guys are gonna have to do, we're gonna take your bullets away and your guns, and we're gonna give you these wooden guns, and you guys are gonna have to go out in the back out there in the woods and pretend you're going to war. And then when you go to war, we're gonna give you the real stuff, and real people are gonna be shooting at you. Yeah. Now you're in, you know what I mean? You're not ready for that environment if you're not practicing in that environment.
No, absolutely. I love that analogy. Go out there and make pew pew sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We have a guy, just real quick story that reminds me of this. I'm talking about the 2 to 5. We had a guy, he was my driver. He wasn't at the time, he was a probie under me and became a driver. 2 years on the job, we went down to a company near here, Ocean City, Florida, and did some live fire training. So we were running some guys through. Like, all right, listen, and it's a can burn. We didn't have any props or anything like that. Hey, it's like a just seeing how the environment works. We're like, okay, listen, when it gets hot, you start feeling it get hot. You guys get down. We had a team in, a backup safety team. We get down, the thermal air comes down, it's banking down. We get down, we look over and we see legs up into it, and we grab him, pull him down. Well, his shield and everything's on fire. So we're putting it out. We come out and we're pretty much like, hey man, what are you thinking? Yeah. What are you doing? And his comment resonated with me. And this has been years ago now. He said, man, I've never been in a fire and I didn't know that's what it wasn't supposed to feel like. And that floored me. And I talk about it up at FDTN with Mike Lombardo and Jim McCormick and Timmy Collette and all those guys. I was like, just that statement alone kind of out across the American Fire Service. I think if I could change something, I would make it to where, yes, be safe about it, but man, we have to get in those environments. We love it. Obviously, all of us, that's why we got in this service. We want to go to fires. We want to be, that's the test. That's the game. That's the high intensity, bases loaded, no outs. The meat of lineups coming up. I want to go. Send me in there.
Love it. Oh yeah. No. And that's what I love, your analogy about the special forces using wooden guns. Because when I think about it, I used to tell my battalion, we go out and do a training, I'd be like, okay, guys, we're having to play pretend on this and this and this. Okay. But pretend like it. And we were playing pretend.
Sure.
Like, because it's all we could do. And I'm,
We've all done it. I mean, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad about it, but
again,
it's true.
But just me looking back on it going, we were playing with toy guns and at the time, very proud of our training because we were getting some training done. But it's just, it's almost asinine when you think about it. And so
So it becomes almost like a checkbox, right? Like, hey,
yeah,
how much we did an hour of training today? Check.
yeah. John M. Sullivan, how to push on? I don't know. I don't get that question at all, so I don't understand the reference. It might have been timely. I don't know what it was referencing. Mike Piverall wants to know, Chief, how can we help others? This is no easy question. How can we help others find the importance of being that true professional?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no
I
easy. I'm telling you, they got some tough ones for you.
I think it's the migrating to the people and the noise that you hear that rings in your ear a certain way. A guy told me that long time ago. Chief Shannon Stone told me that. He used to be down here in Fort Walton. He's now at Midway. And it was, hey, how do I change? I asked him the same. I was like, how do I make change in my department? And he's like, you know what? It's not a big change. He said, it's like turning a cruise ship. He said, you find one guy or you find somebody that you hear the way they talk and what they sound like and the message they're delivering, and you like it, you migrate to that. Then you see a kid that sees that, he said, you pay attention to, and you grab one at a time and they start migrating. And that's the change is small, but that's how it starts. And that's how you make a good change. And I think that would, I think for us, is that, but there has to be some sort of, hey, like, okay, we'd love everybody to be engaged and drink the Kool-Aid and be as like passionate as this group of people are. I know for a fact on here. But how do you, because there's some people that just aren't like, well, I mean, I sit in a recliner right next to you and I don't have to go do all those things. And I do the same exact stuff you do.
Right.
Now, how do you make that? I don't know how you make that guy buy in. I think it's just, I believe everything's done by example and not by like, hey, I'm the guy, but I think a company and a group, not do I think, but I know, especially the people I know in other departments, big departments, retired, that company sets the standard and the other companies see it and be like, man, either by, I don't want to be looked bad, or, hey, we need to do what they're doing, because that's different.
Right. Oh, no.
For sure.
I love it. I love it. And again, it's a tough one.
It is.
I say it almost every scrap in some way, shape, or form. I'm like, hey, when you figure out the answer to that, you write the book, and that's $1 million book. I promise you. That's a multi.
Then you got to get everybody to read it, right?
Right.
And then apply
But
it.
if you figure out the answer, I promise you, they'll read it. We just got to write it at that point.
Right.
But no, it is a tough one. It's a tough one. And I think you're spot on. All you can control is what you can control, and that's yourself. Set the example, you and your crew, and raise that bar, because a rising tide. Hey, whether, like you said, either they're embarrassed enough to have to go do something, or they want to match you.
So, or, like the professional level, it's a performance based. And I don't know that the American Fire Service could do that. You know what I mean? I don't know that there could be a line where it's performance based. And if you can't meet that performance or that expectation, whatever it may be, that there's another 200 guys, as we all know, where everybody's short staffed and operating at minimum range. It's not as, it's just different than professional sports.
It's not supply and demand. And I've always said, and one of my things I say is, if fire chiefs had a win-loss record the same way a college football coach did, they'd be fired every, season.
100%.
But there is no there, and that's one of the things Chief Scott Thompson talks about. There is no standard of success in the American Fire Service. So since there is no standard of success, the guy can sit in the recliner next to you and say, hey, I do the same stuff you do.
The 1%ers, right? They do 1% more than needed, but by just looking at they're right there. They're getting on the same vehicle, the same apparatus, the same engine, the same truck, going to the same calls. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you could make that line to where it's like, okay, those types of people will find their way out. We would all hope that,
Right.
and we hope that it doesn't come to like a bad, hey, something bad happened, now they're out. But we would hope that would happen. But I mean, we all know people that have had 15, 20-year careers that have just kind of floated through.
Love it. I absolutely love the discussion. Speaking of Chief Shannon Stone,
Hey,
he wants to know how challenging has it I promise I can talk. How challenging has it been to go from such a high performance standard in the big leagues to influencing firefighters and trying to get them to understand and buy off on the same concept?
that's been tough So like I said, I've been doing this for 17 years. I'm in a small department. So when I first started, there was only a few guys, and my influence on them was pretty direct. But I'm finding it more now, like when the newer generational people are coming through. I'm finding it tough because that competitive aspect that got me in that industry is still in me. And it's hard to watch some of I'm going to tiptoe around this one, and I'm just going to say it, but the certificate-based promotional quality of what we get
Sure.
based on, and I get it. I understand it. It's needed. But if it's just like the mindset doesn't meet that, to me, it's kind of blank and vacant. Jim used to give guys certificates up in Indy. He used to give them a balloon, and he'd tell them to go throw it in a fire next time when they got done with a class because everybody wanted something. Or take that piece of paper, throw it. He goes, take that whole book of papers and throw them in your next fire and see what those certificates will do for you. Because it has to be performance. It has to be mindset. It has to be your skill set. But it's been tough to it's been easy to migrate to the ones that have the same conversation. Like Shannon's the one that I migrated towards. He was, like when I said, he was one of the first ones that I had conversation with. And man, I bought into that like nobody else. And where we like everybody catches flack for something, but I was like, man, I don't like what you're saying doesn't sound right. What he's saying sounds right to me.
Right.
So it's been hard to see the other side of it. The ones that buy into it that's not hard at all.
That's the kindred.
Yes, it's a kindred spirit, kindred mindset. So yeah, it's been tough to, especially now, and especially in my position now, to kind of be more of a manager. I was always a player. I never was a manager or a coach.
Sure.
So it's been tough to watch. Like now I depend on my lieutenants and the senior guys to get these guys motivated, when that's an aspect that I enjoyed, taking kids and making them men and giving them that mind, like, hey man, this is how important doing the simple little things is.
Right.
Like, this is where you want to be perfect at. You don't want this to be what stumbles you down the road.
No. And that's a perfect segue to the other brother,
Okay.
DJ Stone. DJ chimed in and listen, I love the Stone brothers, man.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I've taken so many notes from their classes. In fact, I need to get them back on.
I was just talking to DJ today on the phone, actually. So yeah,
he wrote that article on that inch and a half just recently, that little blurb on the inch and a half. And I want to have him on for a discussion about that, but I also need to have Shannon back on because it's been a minute. Okay. Hey, DJ says, what are some parallels of leading in a team? And you just touched on this, so that's why I was saying it's kind of relevant. Parallels of leading in a team of pro ball and then in the position of a company officer or battalion chief, which you just started kind of touching on.
Sure. Obviously all that leading from the front stuff. But it's, setting an expectation. Being a rookie in professional sports I know being a pro is tough, but being a rookie in professional sports is like pretty brutal. So you learn like real quick, and it's done through respect. It isn't quote unquote hazing and all that kind of crap. It's a respect level thing. And I think I think it's based, if you're leading professional sports, like we had a group in the bullpen, and we had the leaders, and then we became leaders as we got older in the career. But it's done through expectations and trust. I think trust is the biggest thing of all. That take these guys, like, I'm not just telling you to do stuff to do it. One, I'm doing it with you. And if there's a lot of different opinions now. I think now it makes it tough because a lot of guys Google fact you and do all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But if you can listen to them, be open enough to listen to them and then give them, okay, well, let me tell you why this works. And now I can reference either experience or something I came in contact or somebody, and always be open to be like, I don't know. And I know both the Stone brothers are this way as well as maybe I don't know all the answers, but I got some pretty heavy hitters at the end of my fingertips, and we'll find the answer for you.
Right on.
I think that develops bonding, that crew integrity. I've always said this in the firehouse, just like in the baseball field, you got to know my voice in the house. Cause when we get on the street, that's not a time for me to get you to recognize who I am. So
Mm.
as a leader, like, hey man, we eat together, and just like all the stuff we've ever seen, eat together, talk together, drive together, hang out together, do all those things. But that's a familiarity. The old saying, I think Special Force has the more extreme the act, the tighter the bond. So the more times we're compressed into this pressure cooker at the fire station and engine bay in the apparatus, the tighter we get.
Mm.
And then the trust is either bonded or you have somebody that breaks that trust. And then that decision is very easy.
Beautiful, Anth. In fact, you got my brain going. I think in a small unit leadership, Dandridge Malone, and it's such a great. But no.
Yes.
All right, here's a palate cleanser. This is a palate cleanser question coming at you from Greg White up in Minnesota. He wants to know who was the best hitter that you faced as an MLB player.
Holy cow! I had to look at some stats. I was like, who got the most hits off me? But I don't think there was a guy. Like, I can't think of one guy. I loved pitching against the big hitters. Like I pitched against back then. I mean, just to say, like, I pitched in the steroid era without doing steroids, so it's already tough to be there. I didn't realize it. We didn't know, like, had no clue. We were in the middle of it.
Sure.
But looking at it, like, man, that was I pitched against Bonds and McGuire and Jose Canseco and Jim Thome, all these guys. There was a style of hitter that gave me problems. It wasn't the leadoff guy. It was kind of like the Roberto Alomar, Brady Anderson type of guy. Put the bat on the ball kind of guy, but also had a little bit of power. Those guys, the scouting report on those guys was tough. It was tough. Those guys made it tough for me. Because the big hitters had a hole. They always had a hole. Some of the guys, I had a couple of Wade Boggs and Thompson was the first baseman for the White Sox, the big hurt. They were scared of the baseball. So their scouting report was like, hey, throw the first ball right at them. They'll scream and then you own them, which was true. But the hitters, like I said, Roberto Alomar, second baseman type of guys, those guys gave me problems.
Gotcha. Great answer. I love that. But that, like I said, that's a nice little palate cleanser because we're getting heavy with all the performance and
I know
and no, it's awesome. It's great.
I don't have all the answers, but I can give my perspective for sure.
That's what they're after.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I got one from each Stone brother. I'm seeing here. We got that, the true professional question. We have that. Andrew McGinn checking in his McGinney's. And he says, what team building training did you take from baseball to the fire service? Anything that carried over real well?
I think the physical part for sure, like there's a lot of parts, but the physical part for sure, like being in shape, being ready for the job, that was an easy one for me to portray onto my crews. We did workouts in engine bay together, and like just the importance of the game's a lot easier when you're strong enough to do it.
Right.
You don't have physical, when you can flow naturally and all you're doing is the mental thinking and muscle memory aspects of it. Because at the end of the day, that's what training is. I say it all the time. The games themselves were not work. That was the easy part. That's when you applied everything that you had been working on, all the scouting reports, all the mental preparation. And yeah, during the game, there's mental, but it's a different kind of mental game. And I think that going to the fire service was something I brought in to the crews that I had. And even now, it's my perspective to them. Is just the mental toughness accompanied with being physically capable.
Boom. I love the parallels of, like you said, as you're sitting there talking about scouting reports and the mental reps and all that stuff. And I'm thinking of pre-incident walkthroughs, in pre-incident plans and just things like that. And the parallels you can make to the fire service.
Or just driving around town or walking in a restaurant with your family. And we all do it. Most of us, you're pre-planning the whole building. Timmy Collette came down, him and his wife, we went to a restaurant over here in Pensacola called McGuire's, and it is a nightmare. It's heavy timber.
Absolutely nightmare.
I think Frank Lee, Chief Lee came by the table, and Timmy was like, "Man, you imagine stretching a line into this place, dollar bills hanging all over the walls." But it's like that kind of like, that's what it is. Like, and you said something about earlier when we first started about being a professional athlete. My perspective of being a professional athlete isn't like this pedestal. I made it. I'm better than everybody else. My perspective was what it costs to get there, what it costs to stay there. After everything from my mental, physical, family, everything in my life it took to be at that and stay at that level. And that's some of the edges I had to cut off when I got into this service, but it's some of the stuff that I believe in the American Fire Service is lacking.
No, we
I
need
think
it.
we need it bad.
We need it. We need
You
it
got
bad.
because the professionals that I like, the guys I talk about constantly, Sandy Lawson and Jim McCormick and Timmy Collette, those guys were professionals like that. You know what I mean? They did what it took to stay there, and they kept doing those things to continue to stay there through the preparation, the physicality of it, just being good at what you do. And like, if you're good at it, just be better. 1% better today than I was yesterday.
Love it, man. And it's just so much. Yeah. And the thing is, it's not this high concept, really complex. It's not complex. It really is simple. And I'm not dumbing it down or anything. I'm not belittling it is what I'm saying. It's massively needed. Back to
100%.
basics, mental toughness, physical preparedness, and a
For sure.
standard.
100%.
And I love it.
I do. So I do. I don't know. I'm sure there's more, but I do a thing, and I've always done a thing, and I made a reference to it, and it drives me crazy. Like guys get, and I know situations are different, but like for me, like one of the things from baseball, like guys get dressed at home, they drive to the fire station, they got their bag over their shoulder, they're already ready for duty in their uniform. They go into the station, they put their stuff on the truck, and they go about their day. To me, like the funneling process for a baseball game that started through the scouting report when I left the house, and how like the drive to the field, how my mind and everything started like shutting certain doors off and concentrating on other things and pulling things up to the forefront. I did the same thing in the fire station, in the firehouse, and I do it every day. And I go the fire station now, the locker room. And when I go to the locker room or the fire station, when I put my uniform on, as I'm doing that, my mental mindset and preparation is changing from dad, husband, taking kids to school, worrying about the yard, grocery shopping, all that, to, man, we got that problematic house. Hey, we have a water treatment center. Man, I got to figure out who's on their game today, who's not. It's all people management and all that funneling process to get to the kitchen table in the morning. I think starts without dragging that from the house to the clubhouse, so to speak. And I always reference like Ray Lewis and Tom Brady never put their shoulder pads and helmets on and drove to the field. I never put my baseball uniform on, drove to the field, because if you break it down to the mental process of it,
Yeah.
it does start there. And there is an aspect of that. If you're going to be like that, and that's how I operate, if you're going to be so hard line like that, yeah, there is an aspect where you're dragging that from your house into the fire station.
And I love again, everybody, we can beat it into the ground, the mental preparation for it. We've all heard the thing about free throws and visualizing beforehand and things like that. And all that's fantastic. But I love your analogies. The special forces using wooden guns. And now Ray Lewis showing up to the game, getting out of his car with his shoulder pads and the uniform on.
Right.
I love the picture of that. And it makes just so much sense that, there's a clear distinction that needs to be made mentally so you can get yourself into the right mindset to do what needs. And that's a level that, again, is needed.
100%. And there's, I
You get me fired up, Mike.
I guarantee that I am too. I'm starting to get like dry throat and everything. I'm getting a little worked up. But I guarantee, and everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people know Ray Lewis and how he was on the field in the locker room, and that way he acted, because it was that important to him. I know for a fact that he didn't act like that at home. So there was a change and a switch that when he came to the field, same thing with Tom Brady. Talk to Tom Brady now like he's an announcer, and he's very knowledgeable in what he does. But man, when he got on that field and in that locker room, he was as fierce of a competitor as there ever has been. And that's kind of what it takes. And And, you know, yeah, we run 10 fall calls today, you know, and we get no fires. That's easy to be like, well, you know what? I can kind of let up a little bit when you
Sure.
really,
No,
you really.
complacency comes for everybody, and it don't give a shit who you are.
I reference DJ Stone all the time in my things when guys get complacent and things get monotonous. And DJ's been on I think the job for about 18 years at Fort Walton. I think 17 or 18 years. And Fort Walton was very at the forefront of VES. They practice it. They were known to be, hey man, we're VES. That's what we do. That's our tactic coming out of the gate, which it should be all of us, obviously. But they were very well known with Shannon and DJ and a bunch of other guys that used to be there. And I'm sure they practice it a lot. 17 years in, DJ's never made a grab. Now he does a class called the Dynamics of a Grab. He makes a grab 17 years in his career. I was like, how many of those Saturdays that were 100 degrees? How many of those Tuesday nights when they practice VES did DJ have the opportunity to say, oh man, we're going out here to do VES again?
Yeah, not today.
I haven't had a grab in 10 years, 15 years. But then it happened and he was so ready for it. That's the preparation and the readiness that everybody in the American Fire Service should have.
No, I love it. I love it, man. Brother, let me see. Some of these questions are repetitive, kind of just asking, what do you do with the complacent? What do you do? How do you get people on board? There's a lot of that coming at you. And again, we touched on it. I'm getting rid of John Sullivan's there. Okay. Jarvis Doherty wants to know, no matter how much we train, we can't hit everything every day. Any tips for staying jam up on constantly new additions to knowledge, i.e. paramedic, engineer, tech rescue, etc., over a career? So we do wear a lot of hats. Do you have a good...
We do. I think there's people for that for sure. I think it's running through the reels right now, the whole paramedic thing. I forget the keynote speaker in 2013 at FDIC was. And the thing is like, hey, a paramedic can kill one per. He's like, I did the study. He's like, paramedics can only kill one person at a time. Bad company officer could kill his whole crew and adjacent crews and probably lose more than that. So to be relevant in all the aspects, like, you know, TRT teams and paramedic, I value our medics. I value our dive guys, all of them. And I think there's specialized groups within a group, just like on a sports field. Not everybody's the quarterback. Not everybody's the center. You've got to be good at what you do to make the team work. So it would be hard for everybody to be that way. Everybody can't be a paramedic or wants to be a paramedic. Everybody can't be the high angle rescue guy, but we need those guys to make that team, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
And I mean, we do. And I know a lot of guys, we talked about this up with Jim just in June at the company office thing. Like, if you think you got to do these 2-hour trainings in the back parking lot, and you're like, man, we got to get all these points covered and we got to get these things out. When it's like, if you just do a training, you know, one of the things that I talk about is the radio training, get in a circle with your crew. And just for Mayday and RIT purposes, key up the radio and call the guys literally standing next to you and see what that. And then that guy calls the guy next to him. It goes around the circle, and then you start finding this rhythm with your crew on what it takes. I know a couple of guys, Timmy Collette's son's up in Baltimore City, and Chris Knight was a lieutenant up there. Things with a training division now, but we just had a guy, John McMaster, who was in that building collapse. Mm-hmm. And he's the only one that survived out of that. He came down to Orlando and talked and kind of became friends with him. And the stuff that he talked about that saved his life was a company officer, when he first started, talked to him about skip breathing. And he practiced it. And never, for 9 years, I think he was on the job before that building, or 6 years, 9 or 6, before the building collapsed on him. And the only thing that he says that he thinks saved his life was remembering that company officer teaching him how to skip breathe.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be super advanced, but the basic stuff has to be solid. You know, you want to be a tech rescue guy, man, you better be jam up on your gear, on RIT, on your self survival, mitigating any emergencies on you before you become that.
Ooh, I love it. I absolutely love it, man. So many Taylor Shepard has another one. This kind of
Okay.
wants to know, Chief, what is the bigger adrenaline rush? To come out of the bullpen and have a clean inning with a strikeout or two versus catching a good solid structure fire?
Man, I got to say structure fire any day. I think if I was playing right now and I could be a fireman at night or in the day before the games, I would, man, that would be the best of the best.
Best of both worlds.
If I could catch a fire either after a game or before a game, and I didn't know back then, but looking back, like, man, there's nothing like catching a fire.
Right.
There's absolutely nothing. And the potential to perform at a level where you can make it, like, I came into a game against the Oakland A's with Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire. There was two guys on second and third. I got out of that inning and I can remember it like today. But then I can go back and remember a fire, and the feeling of that outweighed, because almost like the baseball and the competing and getting to that, that was almost like a stamp of like, hey, you did your work. Like, you prepped and made yourself ready for that. And the fire has an aspect that's so dynamic to it that I'm prepped and ready for it, but it's a constant like change. And I got to think, I got to be ready to think and have so many other options in my head, plan A, B, C, D, and E. And then the self-rescue aspect of it, that's always present. You know, what if this floor gives way? What if I lose my partner? Or what if this or that? There's so many aspects to it.
Right.
And I think that adrenaline, that aspect of it is pretty crazy. And maybe 25 years ago, if you asked me that, I'd been like, oh man, coming, saving a game, or it could be different. But right now, in this point in my life, yeah, I'd rather catch a pretty good fire.
No, a great question, Taylor. Because the thing is I know how I feel about fires. I do. And that everything you said, the dynamics of it, the change of it, the adrenaline rush, all of it, and putting in the work. I put in the work. I'm ready for this. Am I ready for this? What's going to happen? All of that. But I have no frame of reference for coming out of the bullpen to.
Don't get me wrong. Coming out of the bullpen is something.
I believe that's why I wondered, because
I'm not downplaying it at all, because it is and that is almost like a self-survival, because if you don't perform, you're on the clock immediately. One bad game. Okay, hey, we got some stuff to work on. 2 bad games, they're like, oh, hey, that kid in AAA is doing pretty good. 3 bad games, you're like, man, I might have to make some changes here. Like, something's got to change. So it's that aspect of it.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, the pressure and adrenaline from that is pretty intense.
And again, not downplaying it at all. I love that, because I only have one perspective, so it's enlightening.
For sure, awesome.
Rob Fisher says, brother, did you ever wish that you skipped baseball so you could have got on the job sooner?
I bring that question up I have that conversation all the time. And I kind of, like I just said, I have this conversation. I've had this conversation through the years, and I don't know the answer to it, but I was like, man, what if I would have gotten to the fire service right out of high school when I was 18,
Sure.
Like, what I always look back, but I'm not going to say regret. But it's tough to look back like that, because I wouldn't give anything up for what I did. But I also, like, I'm 17 years in, it's not a lot of time, but man, like, the people I know, like, man, moving to New York or going to Boston or Miami, that, like, what was available to on the horizon I could have done. What if is
right. The what ifs will get
for sure.
And
but talking, I talk with Jim and stuff about this a lot, and it's like, it's not the mental side of it, and like how I got to do what I did and what it took. That applies across that applies in what we do here. That applies in what else I would have done. It applied in baseball. It applied in firefighting. It would apply to anything else that I would have done. So I don't know. That's a really good question, and I ask myself that one a lot, and I have conversations with the guys I work with a lot about that.
No, it's a deep question, because it's introspective and the what if game and all of it. Because there's definitely no doubt that you were passionate about both. And
yes.
And I wanted to ask you this. Well, a couple things I wanted to say. Anthony Castros was the keynote that was referenced with the paramedic can kill one. He's coming on October 7th, so mark your calendars.
Oh, sweet.
Anthony Castro's coming back on the scrap October 7th. So I wanted to do that tie in there. But the other thing I wanted to ask you earlier, you said that they put you in the room and said 1% of you are going to make it out of the bigs, out of this 250. And that's not even all the other teams and their 250s.
No, that's 1% of all the 250s.
All of them. And so it's just that blows my mind. But do you have any data on, like, because you toiled away, you stuck with it for 6 years through the farm systems?
Yes, sir.
And do you have, like, what's the average? I don't know if you even know these kind of numbers, but what's the typical person gets drafted, doesn't do well, and how long do they last? Is it one and done? Do most people make it 2 or 3 years?
It's not long. There's career minor leaguers. There's guys that never make it and just do it because it's better than what they would have options to do outside of it.
Better than framing houses, or
for sure. But I don't know the number on it. I just know it's not a lot. I know I was the only one in my draft class to make it to the big leagues. So I do have some numbers on. I was going to see if there's a window to bring it up, and I think it is. This is it. Since 1876, when baseball started, there's only been 23,114 professional Major League Baseball players.
Oh, wow.
When I came up to the big leagues, my number was 16,612. So out of 23,114 players since 1876, I was the 16,612th player. So just that number, like, that's not a big number, man. That's
no,
especially for all the junior colleges, high schools, colleges, players. Like I said, 200 guys every single year and 30 plus teams.
150-year history of the game. We're almost there, but yeah, no, it's crazy.
Really crazy. And I only found that number out because a guy up in Indy asked me if I like bourbon. I was like, is there a fireman that doesn't like bourbon? And he's like, well, there's a company that's called Field of Dreams. And maybe I'm giving them a plug. I don't know. But there's a company called Field of Dreams. They make bourbon from the corn from the field. They bought part of that field.
Part of that field. Okay.
And Andy Pettit, the left-hand pitcher for the Yankees, is part of that group. Anyway, he told me about it, and I was like, oh, look it up. So I got home, looked it up, saw it. I sent him an email. I was like, hey, this is kind of unique. I was like, I used to play blah, blah, blah. A couple months later, forgot all about it. One of my daughters comes in, has a package that was at the door, and it was a bottle of the bourbon. I flipped it over, and it had my number. That's how it said 16,612 out of 23,114.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I found that. I was like, oh my gosh, that number kind of floored. And in the back of the bottle had, like, Mike James made his debut at Toronto on April, whatever day it was. And
that's pretty freaking cool.
It was pretty neat. But yeah, that's that. But that number alone, like, I know it's not a lot. And my cousin from up in Tennessee, he used to tell me, like, when I played, he's like, man, you don't realize how unique he was like a baseball guy. He's like, you don't realize how unique it is, like, what you've accomplished. And I was playing, so it was like, okay, like, I'm trying to stay here, man. I'm not, like, thinking like that. But when this came out, he goes, man, that's what I was telling you about. That's the stuff. That's the number stuff I was trying to tell you. He said, of all the people in the world, he said, that's not even like a 0.001% of the population. Like, it's
there's so many zeros to get to that.
Such a minute number. And it kind of that number kind of stuck with me. I was like, man,
no, that's cool, man. And be proud of it. Be proud of it. I know you're a humble guy, and you've always said you're not sitting there to thumping your chest, but that's one to be proud of, brother.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That number.
I'll give you permission. But my big question is, what did you do with the bottle?
I haven't opened it yet.
Okay, I wondered because that's
we ordered a second bottle, actually. And there was crazy. The second bottle we got had a guy on there from like 1944. Was this guy John something? He got called up. His number was 9,332, I think it is, and he only played one game. So those numbers aren't like guys that had careers.
They just got to be in
it's a debut number. You get that number just when you debut. So if you debut in the big leagues and you played one game like this guy, you got a number. So that number is even more. I was with my cousin. He's down here from Tennessee. Him and his wife and kids. And I was like, I wonder how many of those 23,000 played more than 5 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now, I would say actually got more than one season. That would be a good number to know. 100%. And then then 5 years, and then
Yes. He said he looked it up and he said it was less than 7,000. So out of
okay,
that 23,000, less than 7,000 players played for more than 5.
okay.
So is even more unique. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy,
Add a couple more zeros in there
right?
to get. Oh, it's been a fun conversation.
It has been.
I love asking this question, and you gave me a long list. I did not print out the list. I didn't save it, so you're gonna have to go from memory or whatever you want to talk about, which are your favorites. But book or books that you think firefighters should be reading.
Whew. I got a whole bookshelf back here, right there, full of
Yeah.
them. Man, I
It
got
doesn't have to be firefighting books. It can be any
Nope.
book, anywhere.
To be quite honest, the most of the books that I read aren't firefighting books.
Same.
They're personal development books, leadership books. One of my favorites is The Wisdom of a Bullfrog, by
McRaven.
Admiral
Yes.
Willie McRaven, the one that did the Make Your Bed speech. That book, man, it's one of my top ones. And if guys don't know what the bullfrog is, it's the highest longest enlisted SEAL member bullfrog. When the guy the most years in retires, the next guy becomes the bullfrog.
Bullfrog.
And Admiral McRaven became the bullfrog and wrote a book about his perspectives. And it's a good one.
No, it's a great and for all the firefighters out there, it is an easy read because it's small and it's bite-sized chunks. Each chapter is individual.
It is so good.
And each one it's a fascinating little story in and of itself. And there's probably only a dozen stories in it. I would guess.
Yeah.
I'm going from memory, but
I think there's like 12 or 13 chapters, which is a story about something different. One's like the long green table. Yeah, he's got a bunch of different things, and it's very easy to read. And you'll come out of that book and be like, man, I should have had a highlighter. I'm gonna go back in it.
yeah.
Get my highlighter out, go through it, which I did, because once I got done reading, I'm like, man, that was full of meat. I need some of that stuff. And went back and highlighted a bunch of that stuff.
Right on.
Anything by Deepak, I read a lot. I've been reading Deepak Chopra for a long time. His stuff on how you can mentally and physically be in tune down to like the molecular level of your body is pretty good stuff.
Okay. Did you have a favorite of his at all that you would plug, or just anything?
Just about anything. I'd be honest with you. Just about anything from Deepak is. There's one. It's called Soulmate. I made it halfway through that one. It was more of a book kind of thing. But the other ones, all the other ones are. I actually want to go there and grab them now. I was going to stack them over here, but I'm like, no, we got a list. But I'm currently reading one called The Emergency Mind, which is turning out to be really good, by Dan Dworkis. He's an MD, PhD, and his last name is Dworkis, like D work is. So
Dworkis. Okay.
Yep, Dworkis, The Emergency Mind. It's about it. He was a physician, went through medical school, became a emergency room physician in like New York. And he was a lot of the book is talking about slowing down the process and the mental, how when he first went in there, and he's like watching these guys in high trauma situations operate at a level to where he was like so chaotic, and how he's through his education and getting into it, how he slowed it down.
Okay.
Really good. I'm halfway through it, and it's one of those books. The Emergency Mind. It's really good.
Good. No, I like it. I might even order that one here as soon as the scrap is over.
I mean, like Think Like a Monk, like Jay Shetty. Trying to think of some of the others. I've kind of, for some reason, gone blank. Some of the books I got over there, but yeah, they're basically personal development mindset type of books.
Mental preparation and making yourself a better human being.
Yes,
absolutely, man. And that's my wheelhouse. That's what I love to read. So I love everything you said. You give people a lot to take away from that. So we do a thing on the weekly scrap. It is the 5 questions for firefighters. We're getting ready to come out with the new 5 questions, but they're not ready yet. They haven't been released yet. But this is version 4.0. The points are arbitrary, assigned by me with the help of the audience, and there are no right or wrong answers. They're just your answers. And so just your opinions. So are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Bring it on.
All right, here we go. You are the probie once more at the firehouse. Be clear. You're the probie once more, and you have to cook the meal for the firehouse. What's your go-to meal?
It's got to be, yeah, it's got to be steaks, vegetables, Caesar salad.
Steaks,
Fresh,
veggies,
yeah,
Caesar.
fresh vegetables, good ribeyes, and a lot of Caesar salad.
Nice. When you say fresh veggies, do you grill veggies? Do you saute? What's your
Yep. I grill them and I saute them, but my go-to is squash, zucchini, and some onion with like sea salt, pepper, paprika, lemon
Oh yeah.
pepper. Oh yeah, and
I
it's
think I might be hungry because now I'm getting now
yeah, we do those. We do those pretty often. It's a good combo.
can't go wrong with ribeyes, lots of Caesar, and of course when you say
The
zucchini, onion, yeah,
squash.
squash.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Woo.
for
Okay,
sure.
perfect. Max points coming out the gate. May just be the description and the fact that I'm hungry, but you
Right.
did get max points. Number 2, it's Jobtown. It's time. You're en route and responding. Just like the scene from Backdraft where he slaps the
For sure.
tape in there. What song are you playing while en route?
Oh man. First one that comes to my head would be Thunderstruck, AC/DC.
Sam could let me know if that's been on the list. I'm not. Yeah, he says yes.
Awesome.
But that's okay. That's okay
Okay.
because it's just I like to let people know if it's a new song or if it's one that's been. I mean,
For sure.
it's one of the best opening riffs of all
It is.
time. There's no doubt. As far as amped up,
It is
it's hard to
the
beat
way it
Thunderstruck.
builds up, and oh yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty awesome. And quick
So-
story about that: when I first got called up, Bo Jackson was on the Angels when I played with him, and when he came up to bat, that was his song, and the stadium would go
Oh,
absolutely.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
So referencing that, and if I could put that into a cassette in a fire truck, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. That's a unique perspective on it, man. I can only imagine. Whose boots? And max points, by the way, for Thunderstruck.
Thank you.
Whose boots, past, present, or future, would you like to spend 24 hours in?
Oh gosh. Past, present. Well, I mean, first and foremost, probably the number one would be my very first hero, which was my dad.
Oh,
He passed away in 2012. I'd like to spend 24 hours in his boots back in the day. Just a hard, tough dude, like did stuff the right way, is like man's man kind of guy.
sure.
Past wise, I'll be quite honest with you. I'll give you one for firefighting, one for baseball. It'd be Bob Gibson. He was a pitcher with the Cardinals, unbelievably dominant. I would like to know what that level of perfection and professionalism and competition where he was at,
Right.
what that was like. Because
No,
I know what
yeah.
it takes. It had to be because he was so dominant, and he did it in like the old school kind of way. I wouldn't mind spending 24 hours maybe pitching a game as him, spending that 24
Just
hours.
seeing his mind, his thought process.
Oh yeah, like prepping for the game, going through the game, and after the game. And the last one, referencing firefighting, I called him today actually, is Timmy Collette back in the day. I would love to be in his boots when he was running the Bronx down there, the first do at the zoo on 88 engine. We talk a lot about what I did and what he did back then, and I would have loved to do 24 hours in his boots back then
In his prime.
when he was the Wizard of Water running.
Yeah, the wizard.
Running it. That had to be, and he's like, man, I'd love to spend 24 hours in your cleats, man. You know, when you were back in the day. I'm like, so I think I don't know. I'll never know what that feels like as far as that, like being in New York City down there like that, and like being at the level he was at. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I love all three answers. I really do. Normally, I'm like, I take away points if you answer more than one, but I wasn't clear because they said past, present, future, and you answered it in that way. So, absolute crushed
Awesome.
it on that. I love all three, and for the reasons you gave.
Good,
So
good.
it wasn't like a wishy washy answer. That was very, very concise, very direct.
Awesome.
Number 4.
Okay.
You are retired. You're sitting on the beach enjoying Mai Tais. What do you want to hear through the grapevine that the people you used to work with, how do they describe you to the new hires?
Holy cow. Well, Probably along the lines of what we've been talking, the way of what I've been kind of portraying, just trustworthy, hardworking. Man, that dude gave a crap. Like, he was a hardworking dude. Sometimes it's tough to be around him, but man, he supported us. He always stood for what was right, and he always strived to get better.
Beautiful. No, and 4 for 4 max points. Easy answers. I mean, not easy answers. Easy to give out max points.
Right.
Number 5 is the question that never changes. Heavy fire, searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Oh, VES for sure. I want to go through the window.
Right on.
I want to
Right
get in
on.
the room, look down the hallway, find something, come out the window, and have them in my arms and make a difference.
I love it. I
For sure.
absolutely love it, man.
No doubt.
And it ties right back into, like you talked about DJ earlier, and the years and years and years
Yes.
for the one chance and multiple. But no, dude, absolutely 5 for 5. Crushed it. Crushed it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I
And
appreciate
that officially puts 311 scraps in the books. Mike James, first of all, thank you for sharing your evening with us. It's been phenomenal. But if someone wants to reach out to you, ask you questions, get a hold of you, what's the best way to do so?
I can shoot my email out there. I can even shoot you a phone number if you guys, I don't know how you guys operate like that, but I don't mind. Anybody has anything, if you want to send me through email, I can give it to you.
That's completely up to you. I mean,
okay.
if you want to, yeah.
I'll just spell it out. It's Ocean, OCEAN, DWLER, MJ at AOL. I'm still hanging on to that AOL when it first launched back in the late 90s.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's Ocean Dweller MJ, but it's OCAN DWLER MJ at AOL.
Ocean Dweller MJ at
AOL,
AOL, which for those that don't know, AOL was a internet service America Online. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. We'll show our age.
Right. But yeah, if you shoot me an email and get the context deserves or requires a phone, I have no issue texting, calling. I would love to help anybody out. It probably help me more than it'll help whoever's asking for any advice or perspective. That's usually how I took probably more out of this than a lot of people, just by having this conversation with you guys.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation, and I know people enjoyed it, and I know more will as they listen to it. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared this evening. So there is a thing we do. It's called the Scrap Challenge. And basically, I ask you to give a challenge to the listeners, especially the live listeners who have the full week to get it done. But everybody else that listens to the podcast, a challenge from you to them that they need to accomplish before next week's scrap.
To accomplish before next week's scrap, go get a personal development book. Go purchase a book. Search it out. There's so much personal development stuff out there.
So much good stuff. So much.
And it won't only affect your firefighting. It'll affect your person, your at home, how you treat and understand not just the personnel in the firehouse, but the people in your own house, the people you come in contact in your life. If you could develop yourself personally through reading or listening, man, start the journey this week, today, tomorrow, tonight. Get on Amazon. You could probably get on Safari or something and type in personal development, and I'm pretty positive 9 million matches will come up with material that you can get into. It'll only benefit you. And if the challenge is, man, if you don't do that already, even if you do it, go get a new book. I got stuck in a lull there for a while where I was stuck on a couple books. And actually my wife was like, are you gonna read? I just carried it around with me. She's like, you gonna read that thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to it.
Eventually. Don't worry about it. Eventually.
It's become more of a thing now. But yeah, go get a book. Get something to listen to, but yeah, do it. And yeah, start that journey, because it makes a difference. And it may not seem like it, but man, there's people a lot smarter and done a lot of stuff, and have a perspective that can speak to you. And that goes back to the whole, listening to the people that have that same language. When you start reading about these guys and what they're writing about, it's like, oh man, like that's kind of like what I think about, and
Yeah.
he's kind of explaining it. And it's good stuff, as you well know.
No, it's no, brother. I love it. I'm a huge fan of reading.
For
I
sure.
mean, no, without a doubt. So I love that challenge. Go
I
get a
do.
book. You don't have to
Yeah.
finish the book this week. You have to
No,
get one and then
just start
commit.
the, just start the journey.
I
Even if you
love it.
just read the introduction of it, you got it and you read it and be like, okay, I'm going to get into that this week or something.
Make the commitment.
I do got a quote I'd love to read before. I know we're getting ready to get done.
No,
If we
no,
have
no, no. Go for it. Yeah, I don't
So,
want to cut.
so I got this one. There's some people in our company. My wife, she does Herbalife, and there's some people, friends of ours, that are really high up in the industry. This lady named Amber Wick and Jason Wick, but she posted up a quote, and I've tagged onto it, and I use it in my company officer teachings and stuff like that, especially up in Indy. But the quote goes like this: "The buffalo fed on the buffalo grass that was fertilized by its own droppings. This grass was had deep roots, bound to the earth, and was resistant to drought." This guy's name was David Peat. And this is what comes out of that. This is your reminder that messiness, failure, and clunkiness is part of the process. The seasons of shit serve their purpose. Let them become the fertilizer for your success. So, like, hey, getting a book is dumb or whatever it may be. Man, it may be crappy or it may be tough, and you may be in a situation with a company or a department where things are rough. Man, those, just like the minor leagues were, those were needed just as much as the successes. And Tom Brady talks about this. Man, I learned so much more from the failures and the shortcomings than I did the successes. Those are just the rewards for the work that was put in.
No, it's awesome, man. No, thank you for sharing the quote.
For
And
sure.
so I really do appreciate it. In fact, you made my brain go, hey, should I ask every guest to share a quote? So that's where my brain's at because I loved it, man. I absolutely
I
loved it.
think a lot of firemen are quote based. I do, because we have a chalkboard for, like the
Yeah.
duty. And man, I've seen it through other firehouses across the nation. There's always somebody that writes a little quote up there.
I'm a quote guy. I love quotes. I love
Right?
good
I
quotes,
think
man.
I think a lot of firemen are.
Okay. Now I may have to work that into the 5 questions.
Awesome.
I love it. I'm trying to think. My brain's going now. My brain's off and running. The last question I have for you
Okay.
that is from me is there somebody that you think should be on the scrap? I'm always looking to expand my network. And
Oh,
so
I think all the guys that I know that I would suggest, I think have been, like,
and I know you can't know all 300 get or all 250-ish
sure,
guests, but so yeah, Timmy Klett has, Jim McCormick has, and don't get me wrong, they need to come back too. So
sure. How
uh
about Aaron? Has Aaron Rhodes been on here?
I don't know. No, I
Man, he'd be a good one.
okay.
Out of Orlando, Assistant Chief Aaron Rhodes.
No, he has not been on. I know that. So
He he's man, he's one of those guys. He's a super good friend, and man, we have those deep conversations that elevate each other for sure.
I like the circles you run in, and I like the people that you respect. And so I like if he gets the Mike James stamp of approval, then I'm going to be reaching out. So
Man, you'll be yeah, give me a little bit. When he does, when you hear him, you're gonna be like, man, Mike, thanks for that, because
okay,
he's that good.
can I
He
use you as the
100%,
okay,
100%.
yeah, get me his info, and
Okay,
I'll tell him that I got it from you, so that
will
you're
do.
my inroad, and that way it's not just a cold call, and we'll go
Awesome,
from
man.
there.
Yeah, he'll
So
be yeah, he's a good one, man. The people on the show will really appreciate him.
okay, I like it. I like it. All right, that brings us to housekeeping. Go to patreon.com the vigilantes. The Discord, of course, is amazing. There's been so much chatter in the Discord today. People have joined up, and there's been lots of is it I don't know the proper way to say it, GIF or GIF. I always forget which is the right way to say it. But it's pretty hilarious. If you're looking for a place to connect with people like Mike was talking about today, the birds of a feather that flock together, the Vigilantes is a place to do it. And of course, if you're in the Vigilantes, you get the after party, which is coming up as we speak. Sam will be sending out the link, and that's where we're going to go in there and we're going to roast Mike for how he did on the scrap tonight. So anyway, if you're not a vigilante, go become a vigilante. If you're not, why not? I always say that. Coming up on the scrap next week, it is Chief David Hageman. And There are a lot of people excited about that. I'm excited about that conversation. It's going to be fun. Following up that on the same week is a special back to school special for the scrap Thursday, August 7th. Write it down because this one is not a Tuesday for scrapping. This is a back to school special, so it's not even a regular scrap. It is the one and only Chief Ike, Kurt Isaacson, making his return to the scrap, and he's doing the back to school special. And that's going to be, as always, something you do not want to miss. Enough jabbering from me. Mike, thank you once again for spending your evening with us and sharing so much, your story, your journey, your mindset, all of it, man. It was a great evening, and I really do appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that, Corley. I really do. Thank you for having me, man. And I appreciate everybody out there. I hope that I had a little bit of something that might have stuck to the wall. I'm sure I'm going to think of, just like all of us, as soon as we get off, we'll probably think of 2,000 things we could have said or how we said it.
I should have
But
said, yeah.
I think we did the service justice because if we could activate each other's thinking, we've done something.
That's me saying max points. He also got max points. I meant to do that while you were getting max points. It's supposed to flash, but right now
I like bright lights.
So absolutely. Audience,
Awesome.
I tell you every week, audience, thank you so much for showing up live. You are what makes the scrap special. Your questions to the guest are always on point, and without you, the scrap would not exist. So thank you for showing up each and every week and making it the scrap. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. This job is not safe. So everybody, stay smart out there.